Amy Broghamer. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself, but I want to tell you first that she is one of the most purposeful realtors and humans that I know and am colleagues with and friends with. And she is not only the breadwinner for her family, she is a coach, she's an author, she's a realtor, and does all the things. So thanks, Amy, for being here.
I am excited to talk with you.
Tell us a little bit about your business, where you are, and what you're doing right now first.
Sounds great. Well, I am located in the heart of Cincinnati, Ohio, which is the Midwest. And I have a thriving business. I've been in this business for 18 years somehow. And I've had kids. I've got a 11 and a 12-year-old, and run my business all through having them, and we'll continue into the future with them. We sell very as few homes as we need to every year. Okay, so that's a little different than what most people are thinking. Like they want to sell 100 houses. I sell as few as I need to, right around 30, maybe 25 this year. And we're funding our lifestyle and our retirement and our vacations and all of that. So that's what matters is having a great life, really relationship based everything that we do. And I know that you're a big proponent of that.
100%. And I want just like listen up. If not you, the audience, she does not work weekends and nights. Typically, if you're in negotiation, I think you've said, well, if it's a heated negotiation, I'm good. But your standard is not working every night and every weekend. So you're literally, when you say fund your life and have like this life. So how do you make that happen? Because I know their agents are like, wait, what? No, you have to work weekends and nights. How do you do it?
So here's a really great example. And I love to give people things that they can actually use. And I discovered this one time. I was at a real estate convention. I was just sitting at the table with somebody having lunch, and she told me this tip, and I've been using it ever since. So, you know how you have a listing, and inevitably you're going to get a contract at 6 o'clock at night or whatever.
Yep.
So I always prepare so first of all, I try not to take a listing when I'm going to be on vacation or I have other stuff going on, right? Because I'll wait to list it until the following day or something, because I don't want my night to get screwed up, right? Especially right now when you have 25 showings and 15 offers. Last year, like my son's birthday is January 21st, and I knew that we had a full day, so I waited to list a house until the 22nd, very strategically, right? Because I need to be present for that. When I get a listing, one of the tips or the things that I put in my showing and agent remarks is, if you're submitting an offer after 5 p.m., please allow 24 hours response time. Okay.
Yep.
So that just sets the stage for you. If you're going to give me something at 8 o'clock, I'm not responding that night. Yes, as an agent, I will get my client the information. I will forward the offer to them. And then here's what I say to my client, because it only takes me 5 minutes to go through the offer and tell them what they need to know about it. And I'll say, hey, Alicia, we got an offer in your house. Here are all the details. Take a look, talk with your wife, then let me know. Let's plan on talking at 9 o'clock tomorrow when everybody's back in the office. So that's how I offset that. Yes, I do work maybe 5 minutes if I get an offer, only if I get an offer. But then I redirect them to a time when everybody's heads on straight and everybody's in a 100% focused position. And that's better for everybody, instead of being tired and strung out and have kids crying and trying to negotiate, right? Same thing with when somebody says, hey, I'm going to do I need to go do a listing appointment or whatever. You tell them the times that work for you. They choose those times. Guess what? 9 times out of 10, they'll choose one of the times you give them.
Yeah. They don't care. They're just making stuff up too. So give them what's best for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why setting expectations. You're pretty magical in setting expectations. And some people are like, well, is that in the best interest of the client? I think you always have the best interest of the client at the forefront. And that's the whole reason you set these expectations. Nobody needs a tired agent.
No, and not
and they don't need to be tired
or lacking food. I mean, how many people get hangry around here? I know you don't want to deal with me when I need to eat. So, and our clients are the same, and they have lives and things going on. And kids and all of that. So we have to make sure that we're optimizing the best of our brainwaves when we can, because selling a house is not only a financial thing, it's an emotional thing, and it's a part of the consideration for sure.
What do you think when I know there are some agents are going to be like, well, you have to be available 24/7. Well, you're not as good an agent if you're not available 24/7.
I mean, I have a smartphone. I'm available 24/7 if there's an emergency, but I don't know what an emergency would be
Yeah.
that couldn't be handled or dealt with. It's all how you frame it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that, with the expectations. So
Yeah.
you have a relationship-based business, you're setting expectations. How are you getting your business? And I know you're purposeful about that too.
The majority of our business comes from repeat clients after 18 years. I think 13 of them were repeat clients out of the 30. And then the other third were referral. And just the way I'm breaking them up. So it's relationship based. I find that just being an authentic human being is the easiest thing I can do for myself. And I'm good with attracting people that are attracted to me as an authentic person. Like, for example, I'm a big UK fan, Kentucky basketball. There are people that don't like me because of that, and that's fine. I don't want to be their friend either if that's their criteria for who they want to be around,
Right.
Totally fine. I also have some pretty strong political beliefs that a lot of people don't think I should share or talk about or put a flag in for. And that's okay with me too. If we don't align politically, we're probably not going to align business wise either, potentially. And that's okay, because I don't need to serve everyone. I need to
It's not
serve
hurting
my
you.
people.
You have plenty of business. It's not hurting you. That if you repel and attract. So you're attracting, but I also know that you're very big on appreciation. So can you share some of the things you do appreciation wise and to like appreciation and developing those relationships?
We always talk about client appreciation, right? And furthering referrals, but I'd like to kind of do an aside to that because I feel like that's talked about all the time.
Yeah.
Ever since 2020 and the pandemic, we've had to do business different than we've ever had to before. We've had to literally, I was exhausted from thinking outside of the box all the time, right?
Yep.
But I think one of the key elements to surviving in real estate and thriving in constant stress and change with pandemic situations is having a core team of vendors that you will also align with and trust and are on the same page with. And ironically, I had scheduled in March of 2020 a vendor appreciation event to be at a restaurant where we were all coming together and we were going to do a brainstorm. And it was set for March 18th. And guess what? Everything shut down on March, I think, 12th or 13th. And the very restaurant that we were going to have it at we couldn't do it, right? So we did an online brainstorming session instead of meeting together. And I was going to like pay for all the food and all of that. But guess what? When we moved that to online, I think there was like 10 of my vendors there. Half of them have never done a Zoom call at that point. So they were all like really wanting to engage, figured it out, made it happen, just like they do for our clients, right? And that was an early sign of we're going to do what it takes to make this work. And we all had to do things that we had never done before. And we all had to push through. And it's like the people, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And the other ones, they close their business. And that happened to some people.
Yeah. During the pandemic for sure.
But I think being aligned with your vendors and your vendors knowing that you're loyal to them and that you're doing everything you can and that they're doing everything they can too. Like our inspector did whatever he could for us. to get things in time and work around people being at home or working from home, all of that. Like we work together as a team because we're all like-minded and we had the same goals. Not every vendor's like that. So finding that core group, I I dedicate 2020 and our ability to survive that to the vendor team that we had in place.
I'm so glad you brought that out up because it really does make a huge difference when you have people who are like, they're growing with you and they really want you to succeed. Like they want you to have and do the things you want to do beyond just like transactional. Like they care about what you have going on. Did you find, like I found during the pandemic that you're right, when we talk about appreciation, there's normal appreciation stuff, but I found that it was a lot about like, I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you, more than here is this pop by, here is this thing. It's like, I see you is the appreciation in it. Did you find that?
Well, as a mother who was very much struggling myself through the pandemic, it, yeah, it's just a real authentic, basic conversation, you know, or survival in many cases. It didn't have to be a fancy ice cream party. It just needed to be checking in
A
or sending
message.
a meme or sending a card or a note or stopping by when you're in the neighborhood. Just human stuff, you know?
Yep. I'm glad we took that turn there with appreciation because I think this year we were saying how like business changed a little bit. We're tweaking some things to be more efficient and more effective with people that the people like going forward in 2023, I think it's going to be more about trust than anything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be flashy. It's really going to be the deeper things. I don't know if you have anything that you're moving toward that to help grow that, or if it's just natural, but that's something I've been thinking about a lot is the trust.
Trust is key. And um, in the last year, I've started focusing more on a new kind of niche for my business, which is the senior market, the downsizing market. And I think that's a natural shift. Number one, because I'm in my late 40s and I'm seeing a lot of my other friends having to help their parents through some things, downsizing, getting one level living, all the way to, you know, finding communities or relocating them into town to be closer to keep an eye, that kind of thing. And that's truly a personal, very intimate situation. Um, Much more than what we normally do with selling a house for a typical family. Now we're seeing family dynamics. Now we're seeing, like recently, I sold a house for a client of mine's grandmother, and we had family dynamics with him and his mom. And he's like, Amy, I just need to tell you that my mom and I don't get along, so I need you to just leave me out of this. No, I'm here, you know, like, so it's much more than just selling a house. And the trust level and them being able to feel like they can trust you to tell you these things, to make sure that the people are taken care of in a proper way and they're being respected and all of that. It takes extra time and care, but also just like them trusting that you're the kind of person that can do that for them.
And the emotional intelligence that comes with it is like one of the most underrated.
It is so underrated because it's something that you can't see or feel, you just have, and you can't always define. And it's just like that gut feeling that people have, and giving yourself permission to like follow that and trust it is a whole nother conversation.
That is. And so when you're talking about like why I'm selling as little houses as possible, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you trust your gut and you're like in the flow of it. You're doing what you think is good for your family. There is this pulling, nagging thing like, oh, well, this person's doing 60, 100 deals, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. That's so much pressure in real estate. So how do you deal with that?
I will be very honest with you. I had a lot of challenges with that in 2021 and 2022. And I have removed Facebook and Instagram from my phone since March. And I am unapologetic about unfollowing and blocking people on Facebook. I am a person that is extremely competitive to a stupid level where I'll compete the shit out of something for a $50,000 listing. And my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I want to win. Right? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So it's really hard to remind myself on a daily basis that what you see in some people's Facebook posts with, 100 sales and all these balloons and every 30 people on the team and everybody's got their hair and makeup done and they're getting these pictures and they've sold 100 houses. You don't know when you pull back the curtain what a shit show is going on behind the scenes there. Or what do you think, Alisia, it takes to get 100 sales and have 30 people? Do you think that they're having to take cuts in commission and make promises they can't keep and have unhappy people? Like, all that extra drama and bullshit is not worth it for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know exactly what my number is of money that I need to make, that I've committed to my family. And I know exactly how many houses that's going to be. And that doesn't mean that I don't work hard or I won't do more, but I also don't have that, I don't know what the word is, like greed or need to like bring in more. And in fact, side note, I'm a little nervous about saying this, but I am trying to make a financial commitment of a certain amount of money to return back to the community this year. I have a big number in mind. It makes me extremely nervous. But when my business does better, I can give more money to the causes that I think are important. And that's kind of where I'm at after 18 years and after setting myself up for success and having, my savings in place and all of that. I know exactly how much money I need. And now I know how much money I can give back right off the top. So does that answer your question? I feel like maybe I got off track.
Yeah. I mean, this is real talk, right? Like really when we say like, oh, it doesn't matter that so-and-so closed for, yeah, it might get under our skin, but it's a process. And why should we worry about those people when it doesn't affect our happiness? But it's cliche, but it's like, it's there and it takes time. And I think one of the ways to like avoid that is like having people like you in your life. When I see people like you or like people that I surround myself with, even if we don't talk every day, that I know like, yeah, like this is the mindset that I have. Like, I don't need all that. That's fake. And this is real deal. This is time with your family, money. We are in many cases, making more money than the people that you see at the awards on.
Yeah. And to your point, like, and going back to that, you never know what somebody else's finances are behind those things. You never know if in order to get 100 sales, they had to spend $100,000 in advertising and campaigns and all of that just to get it. So I have said this a million times. I know Hank has said this a million times. I'd like to give awards away based on profit. How much profit did you make this year? How much profit did you make this year? Because when you're comparing, don't compare based on how many houses you sold or how many millions of dollars you sold. Because guess what? You could be a 0.5% commission agent and you literally aren't making any money.
Yeah, and in the end, charge is lower, or you don't all the things.
Yeah. So then when somebody looks at me and they're like, oh, you only sold 15 listings last year, I feel sad for you. Don't feel sad for me. Because I have a high level of service and I get paid very well for that. And I'm not having to make deals with people just to get to 100. Right.
Yep. You can see the clarity that you have around that, like avoids the anxiety. And I see so many agents with so much like, I got to do more, I got to do this, but because they don't understand. Sometimes when we talk about the business plan, we talk about all these transactions. I'm like, so basically what you're telling me is you need 20 humans to want to work with you this year. And they're like, oh, like if you put it that way, I just need to work with 20 humans. I'm like,
And guess what? That's only like 1.5 a month.
Right. It's not thousands of leads. You just need 20 humans in your
Yeah.
whole life to think that you're the
Yep.
best. Even if they know 5 other agents, you just have to be the best out of 5. Like
Yep.
it's overcomplicated. I'm so glad we're taking this route.
The other thing I want to say about what you were just saying about how much do you really need is I always ask the question, how much do you need to make a month? And I think there's 3 levels, right? There's a minimum level. There's a level where I'm just paying for my house and my car and I have food on the table, right? And some of us visited that in 2020. Then there's a level where I'm able to pay for everything I need to comfortably. I'm not up at night, not able to sleep, whatever. That's the level that I work at. And then there's the really freaking proud number that, like, knocking it out of the park. I'm able to retire my husband. He's not, like all of that kind of stuff, kind of like what you did. So, but what's interesting is when I say, what is your middle number? Most people don't know what it is. I know my number is 15,000. That's the number I need every month. I know it. I know exactly how many houses I have to sell to get that. Right?
Yep.
I know what my expenses are. I know what my budget is. That, for my book, that is the number one thing that agents need to know is have a budget, have reserves, and stick to it. And that will help you survive in this business. Right? Yep. But if you don't know what that number is, then you can't know how many houses you need to sell or how much business you need to do. Right?
It creates turmoil if you don't know. Like you're never doing enough. And especially for someone who's competitive or like overachievers like us, like it will never be enough if you don't label it.
You have to give yourself permission and you say, hey, I've done the business that I've said I was going to do. Here's the money. Take a nap.
Yeah.
Go on vacation.
It takes a strong agent to say, I did what I need to do. Like you can go away. They're like, I'm done. This is good.
Well, like how about when you say, oh, Alicia, I want to sell 25 houses this year. And then somebody says, double it.
10x.
Guess what? My family's more important to me than twice the amount of money that you think I need by doubling it or whatever, whoever says that,
Yep. And we didn't even talk about all the other opportunities that when you have so much clarity, you're like, I need to make 50,000 and you're like, I need 30 houses, 25, 30 houses. And then you have all this time for your other opportunities, which we were talking about before the call, like personal or business opportunities that you wanted to do. Like it doesn't have to be 24/7 real estate. This is not the only thing you have to live for.
No. I mean, I think I probably work 20 hours a week in real estate.
Think about this. If you're watching this, she's working 20 hours a week and we have similar business, 20 hours a week. And she's a breadwinner for the family. She's doing all the things she needs to do without the pressure of what everyone else is doing in real estate.
But guess what? The hard part about that is you have to say no to what doesn't fit into the focus.
So tell us about that. What do you say no to? Because you're and Amy is a high level agent. She's not like a cut rate discount agent. Like you're a high level service agent. What are you saying no to what are you saying no to?
I definitely cherry pick my buyer opportunities because I know that buyers are the biggest suck of time, right? So I always try to, on listings, I know it takes me about 10 hours to sell a house. And I know my average commission is $12,000. So that's a little over $1,200 an hour, right? With buyers, you can't control how long it's going to take sometimes. And so I cherry pick them to make sure that they have the motivation and the ability that's necessary for me to get in my car and go. I ask them, do they have the ability to look during the day when my kids are at school? Because I can't drive around a million places at night because I got to go to basketball or football or baseball or whatever. Yeah. So having standards and rules to see, is this person going to be reasonable? Are they going to work with me? Are they in an area that I'm in all the time that's going to make it easy? So that's how I do that. There are a number of people that I would say no to based on the opportunity. And it helps me say no. I had a hard time saying no. I have a hard time saying no. Okay. but I learned these coping mechanisms of how to do it and make me feel better. So if I say no to a buyer that just doesn't kind of match up to my priorities, I'll say, I don't think I'm the right fit for you, but I know that Alisia is up in the north part of town. She's probably be a better fit. It's a lot closer for her. Why don't I refer you to her? And having that trade-off of I can't do it, but this person can, makes me feel better about saying no. Right?
Yes. Yep. And it's okay to say, like, I'm not sure. Like, if you don't want to show houses at night, you don't have to. That's called an abundant mindset. Like, you will find another client who does want to see houses. You're not, there's nothing wrong that you're doing to that client, which I think agents think sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different, and it all depends on how you set those expectations with them. I've worked with people before after they've failed with another agent, and they were expecting me to um like show them houses that didn't meet their criteria, and apparently that's what the previous agent was doing. I'm like, how does this make sense that we're spending time? Like, I want to show you houses, but my time is limited and your time is limited, and this house is only going to be on the market for so long. How does it make sense for us to go to a house that doesn't meet your criteria when we could save that time for one that does?
Yeah.
Just reframe it for them. I think one of the most entertaining things I've ever heard is, not every client do you have to say yes to. You can say no to clients. And when I've shared that with certain agents, that was like a light bulb moment for them. They're like, you mean I don't have to take every client that comes my way? No. In fact,
that doesn't mean they're bad people or you're bad people.
No. And not everybody's for you, and you're not for everybody. And that's okay.
Will you touch on, we haven't talked at all about video, even though we're both on video right now. You've been in a video game for a long time and you're really good at it. So how's that play in this year?
Well, I continue to use video. I use video differently than you use video. You're really great at editing and making things polished. I am unpolished Amy. Like, one take Amy. Like, that's me. Very authentic, as easy as possible. And I use video to do virtual introductions to my clients. I'm a huge connector. So just this morning, I made a video where I was connecting this woman that designs additions and has contractors and everything with a client of mine that really would like a bigger house, but with all the elements of the market today, isn't going to move. So we're going to put an addition on. And so I would do a virtual introduction with a video on my thing. I sent out a couple of videos yesterday for people that I know that are planning on selling this year, telling them it's time to get started, get going. I use video for my buyer and seller communication campaigns. So when you start the process of listing your house with me, I have a series of videos that I take people through so that they can get familiar with the team, familiar with the process. Interestingly enough, those are on my list for remaking this year, because my husband said, you don't look like this anymore. You don't even have that outfit anymore. So I'm going to freshen all of that up. Going back to authenticity, being authentic is so important to me and you. And you can't fake that. I don't think you can fake that on video, right?
It exposes you. If nothing else, it exposes you if you're not.
Yeah. So I think it's just a great way to build trust very quickly with people, and trust is important, and get into rapport and relationship quickly. And being a person that is very into being efficient as possible, I just love using video for efficiency.
Yeah. You said, I don't know if you do it, so you might not. I just want everybody to know she's doing lead generation in that by being the connector in the video. You're doing the behind the scenes, walking people through the process of real estate, which is setting the expectations and building the trust. Like, every little thing that you do, it sounds like, oh, that was just the intro, but that was way more than just an intro. That's really, really powerful. Just that, I don't know how long they're taking you, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but that's so impactful. Any other advice you'd give somebody now to want to have a really purposeful, efficient, profitable business?
Well, I just have to go back to the numbers and knowing your numbers and knowing the money that you need per month, and just focusing on getting that. The other thing I think is so important that we don't talk about enough is that in order to succeed in real estate, especially as a female, you have to have the support of your husband and family. If they're not supportive, and if you can't figure out how to get them on the bandwagon, I think it's hard to succeed.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're not married, it's whoever is your proximity, who your people are. They've got to be in line with you.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean they have to give you referrals or business. They just have to support you. You know, they have, like, I grew up in a real estate family. My mom is a real estate agent. My dad figured out how to cook because my mom wasn't there to do it. And he would have amazing roasts ready for dinner on a Sunday when my mom would come home from work, right? Like, that's supporting your spouse and making sure that they're going to feel great about going out there and working, and you're going to take care of things at home, right? Or
Yep.
not bitching and complaining when they're gone all night working.
Yep.
You know, that support is what I'm talking about.
Team effort.
Yep.
I love it. So we're going to put all your information below. And if you have any parting words, here's your chance, Amy.
Oh, parting words. I would just say to believe in yourself and focus on yourself. And I tell my kids this all the time. They're always like, so-and-so is doing this and so-and-so is doing that. And, you know, decide what's important to you and focus only on that and achieve that. And then look outside of that. But focus on yourself, know what your numbers are, meet them, stay focused on them. Don't look at what other people are doing. Stay in your lane. That's what I would say.
And if you ever question what you're doing, go back and watch those last 10 seconds again and again and again, because that's like, right? Like, focus on yourself. All right. Thanks, Amy.